Hi, it's Katrina! From lost Neolithic spiritual rituals to the location of the Minotaur's lair, here are 10 of the most mysterious ancient labyrinths uncovered. Number 10. The Trolleborg Labyrinth. The island of Bla Jungfrun in Sweden has long been the subject of local folklore, with stories of dark curses and witchcraft. This place is spooky and requires visitors to stick to the paths, and no one can visit the island after dark. There are a few unusual structures on the island that increase the mystery. Translated as the Blue Maiden, the small island is only about 1 kilometer long, but it is an ominous place. One of the features that stands out about this place is the stone walking labyrinth. Known as the Trolleborg, it's the largest of its kind in Sweden, but still very little is known about it. It's not clear, for example, who built it or when, but the leading theory is that it was built by fishermen of the island in the hopes of catching plentiful stocks. According to local stories, anyone who removes stones from the labyrinth will be cursed forever. It is believed it was used for rituals in ancient times, and the good news is that if you walk in it and don't take anything, you supposedly get good luck. There's still plenty to learn about Bla Jungfrun, and archaeologists are searching across the island for more clues about who lived there, who created the numerous strange structures that exist around the labyrinth, and whether there's truth to the stories of dark magic taking place. Those archaeologists better be careful about removing those stones. Number 9. The Parisian Catacombs. The ground beneath Paris, France was formed by an ocean that once covered the country 45 million years ago. The multiple layers of sediment left by the water became limestone, which itself is a useful building material. Since the Roman times, the limestone has been excavated to construct the city, leaving a vast network of tunnels and quarries beneath the ground, creating a kind of maze. It's thought that now there are more than 200 miles of labyrinthine tunnels in the region, and they have gone on to be used for a range of things, some of which are quite eerie. The most famous of uses is the Parisian Catacombs. In the late 1700s, a number of cemeteries in the city were flooded, and authorities had to find an alternative place to store the bodies to prevent this becoming a public health disaster. Between 1786 and 1788, there were nightly processions that moved the remains into the reinforced tunnels of these underground quarries, and the bones were arranged in the artistic way that the place has become famous for. The tunnels that are not a part of the catacombs haven't been reinforced in the same way, and so access to them is now restricted. This hasn't stopped secret societies, thieves, and artists from gaining access, though, many of whom have found themselves lost for long periods of time within the dark, intertwining tunnels. No thanks. Number 8. The Lost Egyptian Labyrinth. You'll have heard of the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx, but possibly the greatest building of the Egyptian Empire that you've never heard of is the Egyptian Labyrinth, unless you've seen my video on mysterious things in Egypt that no one can explain, of course. If not, you should definitely check it out. It was spoken about by the 5th century BC Greek historian Herodotus. He had seen the building that was 7 days' journey up the Nile from the pyramids at Giza. This temple was said to be divided into 12 courts, had walls covered in sculptures, and was connected by an underground passage to a large pyramid. Herodotus spoke of this place as way more an amazing and exciting sight than the Great Pyramids themselves. Only one other account of the labyrinth exists, from the 1st century BC by the geographer Strabo, and he said that it had many great courts, each of which had their own entrances and were connected by winding passages that ensured no stranger could find their way around without a guide. The lower levels were said to contain the sepulchres of those who built the Great Labyrinth and of sacred crocodiles. The labyrinth was built almost 4,000 years ago, but unfortunately it has not stood up to the test of time. Years of salvaging materials have meant that very little exists there, apart from stone chips and evidence of what once stood there. Some estimates have suggested that the building was as large as 1,000 by 800 feet, which is enormous, and would surely have been a world wonder. And now for number 7, but first, I have a question for you. Where is the highest concentration of labyrinths in the world? The answer is coming up. And if you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss out. Number 7. Underground Roman Labyrinth. Rome has been around for a long time. Because it's such an ancient city, it'll be no surprise that archaeologists are often making new discoveries all over the place. The current Romans are quite annoyed at this since they've been trying to get a metro for years, But whenever they start making advances, new things come up and all work has to stop until the archaeologists give it the green light, maybe 10 months later or a year later. Besides all that, archaeologists, historians, and researchers aren't even trying to search for hidden treasures. Instead, they are trying to save the city. Deep beneath the streets and buildings is a vast labyrinth of tunnels that were first constructed in the early days of the city. They were originally dug to take out the volcanic sediment for the construction of buildings, leaving this extensive network of passages, but they were also used to store valuable artifacts or to hide important secrets. Now, as time has passed, they have begun to lose their structural integrity and pose a serious problem. Every year, there's almost 100 cases of street or building collapse where one of these tunnels has fallen in on itself, and technology is being used to create 3D scans to understand where inherent weaknesses lie. Another benefit of this scanning technique is the discovery of previously unknown chambers and passages. Researchers may never know quite what they might find around the next turn. Never a dull moment in Rome. Number 6. The Chartres Labyrinth. The Cathedral of Chartres was built during the height of the Gothic movement in France, and it was designed to be higher, wider, and brighter than any others. Construction began in 1194 and was completed in 1221, with the labyrinth being built in the nave in the final 5 years. It's not the most elaborate of labyrinths you'll see within a church, but it's definitely one of the most famous in the world. Fun fact, a labyrinth is not the same as a maze, but now we use them interchangeably. A maze is confusing and you have to make decisions, whereas a labyrinth should be calm and relaxing as you journey your way to the center. In cathedrals, the labyrinth represents your spiritual journey as you follow the path. It has rounded sides and 11 concentric circles. It was the first of these types of labyrinth to be constructed, and any that were subsequently built are known as a Chartres-type recreation. Most labyrinths feature depictions from mythology, but curiously, this one doesn't. It's thought that it once did, though, with a large bronze plaque in the center. Some believe that this bronze was melted down in 1792 to be used in the creation of cannons for the New Republic, but no one knows for sure. What is certain is that the Chartres Labyrinth remains one of the most popular and inspired the construction of many more since. Many labyrinths and churches have been destroyed or removed, making the one at Chartres even more unique and valuable. Number 5. Danish Stone Age Labyrinth. In 2017, Danish archaeologists announced the discovery of what appeared to be a Stone Age labyrinth. It was uncovered in Stevens on the east coast of Denmark when the foundations were being laid for a new sports complex. Now it has baffled those trying to understand its purpose. Researchers found numerous flint flakes and axe shards surrounding the site, all of which dated back to as far as 5,000 years ago in the Neolithic period. The labyrinth itself covers an area of around 60,000 square feet and is made up of 5 different rows of posts. Each row has several openings in it, which has led researchers to believe that it's some kind of defensive labyrinth, designed to slow down or confuse any unwelcome intruders. This, of course, raises the question of what the builders of this structure wanted to protect, and so far no clues have been found. With no other artifacts being found other than a few tools, this labyrinth's true purpose may never be known, but it's still an important insight into the construction capabilities of humans all that time ago. Number 4. The City of Derinkuyu. The ancient underground city of Derinkuyu is an astonishing structure designed to confuse and deter invaders to protect those that live there. It's one of the largest labyrinth designs ever made and still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. Located in Turkey, it is thought to have been built almost 3,000 years ago by the Phrygian people, but subsequently enlarged by Christian residents to defend against all kinds of people over the years, especially the Byzantines and later the Ottomans. The unique geography of the region, because of volcanic sediments, meant that the ground was much easier to cut into than normal. The city goes about 250 feet deep into the earth, over 18 levels of traps and wrong turns, with enough space for 20,000 people to live behind its sealed stone doors for as long as 4 months without needing further supplies. Complete with boulder traps, spiked pits, and a number of other nasty surprises in wait for those who weren't familiar with what they were walking into, Derinkuyu was vital to the protection of the people who lived in the area at the time. Number 3. Bara Imambara. Bara Imambara is a religious building in the city of Lucknow in India. It was built by the ruler of the northern state of Awadh in 1784, and its name literally means the Big Sacred Hall. As well as the large central hall, the building is made up of a mosque and a large labyrinth, which was built unintentionally as a way to support the larger building structure. The labyrinth is quite easy to get lost in. There are almost 1,000 different passageways, most of which lead to other passageways, one of 489 identical doorways, or opening out into the windows that give glorious views across the gardens. Locally, there are many stories of people getting lost here for long periods of time, but there's still great mystery surrounding the building as a whole. It's believed that there are secret tunnels leading to the nearby river, or even to other cities in the region. There are some entrances that have been blocked for safety purposes after people got lost in the tunnels, so no one is sure for certain where they lead. Could it be, as is thought, that they lead to other places of importance to those who built this place? Or could there be further secrets and treasures to be discovered? Anyone want to go with me and find out? Number 2. The Stone Labyrinths of Bolshoi Zayatsky. So, where would you think the highest concentration of ancient labyrinths on the planet is? The answer, perhaps surprisingly, is on a collection of small islands in Russia's White Sea. The Zayatsky Islands are home to 35 Neolithic labyrinths dating back to around 3000 BC. The most impressive are on Bolshoi Zayatsky. They are very well preserved, but researchers don't really know what they were for. There are 14 in less than half a square mile. These stone constructions were made by placing boulders onto the ground. The smallest is 20 feet across, while the largest is more than 4 times that at 83 feet in diameter. These boulders form spirals, with the entrances typically being on the south end of the designs. They have, of course, become quite overgrown over time, but their distinctive shape is still very clear. There are 2 main theories as to the purpose of these labyrinths. The first was that they were built to catch fish. They would become trapped in the design as the water rose at high tide and be easy to retrieve once the waters receded. Pretty clever. The problem with this theory is that many labyrinths around the world are built inland, so it would seem that there's another purpose for them. Labyrinths are a common human experience, kind of like pyramids and stories of floods. The second theory is that they could have been used as calendars because the lines seem to follow the orbital path of the sun and the moon. The lack of consistent entrances to the labyrinths, even in just the region of the White Sea, makes this unlikely, however, and the mystery remains. There are also hundreds of piles of boulders on the island that contain bone fragments, indicating there must be some relationship between spiritual beliefs and the labyrinth, and maybe they represented the underworld. Number 1. The Cretan Labyrinth. Of all the labyrinths in all the world, undoubtedly the most famous is the one from Greek legend that's located on the island of Crete. Or is it? According to the myth, this labyrinth was built for King Minos by his master craftsman Daedalus to contain the Minotaur monster, the child of his wife and a bull. But that's a whole other story. Daedalus was so cunning in the construction of the labyrinth that even he himself struggled to leave it once he had finished. King Minos lost his son to the Athenians, and so as punishment, every year he demanded that 7 young men and 7 young women be sacrificed to the Minotaur. Eventually, the monster was killed by Theseus, who used a ball of yarn given to him by his love to ensure he could escape at the end of his quest. While the Greek myths are usually regarded as lessons and stories, there's evidence to suggest that a labyrinth did indeed exist on Crete. In fact, there are 3 sites that lay claim to being the true location of the legendary labyrinth. These 3 places have evidence of tunnels. One is at the Minoan palaces in the city of Knossos, the second is in a town 20 miles away called Gortyn, and the third potential site is not on Crete at all, but on the Greek mainland. Everyone believed Knossos was the home of the legendary King Minos, but the site uncovered at Gortyn has a network of interlocking tunnels and dead ends. Did the labyrinth ever exist at all? There's debate between scholars whether any of these are the labyrinth mentioned in the myth, or whether they are a series of tunnels built for other purposes. Perhaps the only way we'll know for sure is if the remains of the Minotaur are found hidden within the passages. Wouldn't that be a great find? Thanks for watching! Anyone else think that labyrinths and mazes are kind of creepy? I mean, after watching Labyrinth, the Triwizard Maze from Harry Potter, Pan's Labyrinth, and of course the story of the Minotaur, they're all so dark. Anyway, remember to subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye!